Oh, we are now joined by Commodore Adedotun Ayo-Vaughan, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Navy, to throw more light on what the Navy is doing to bring the massive theft of Nigerian oil to an end. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Chief of Naval Staff appeared on a program recently where he talked about crude oil theft. How bad is the situation?
Good evening, Mr. Ayo.
Good evening.
Mr. Babajide and Mr. Mayor, and good evening to our viewers.
Good evening.
Okay, the situation was very bad until around the 1st of April, when the Nigerian Navy launched the Operation Dakata Dabarau, which means stop the thief in Hausa language. The Nigerian Navy bases, forward operation bases, ships, as well as helicopters and the entire assets of the Navy, as well as the Maritime Domain Awareness System, which is the surveillance system that the Navy uses, something similar to your CCTV, have all been mobilized for this operation. As I speak to you, our men patrol the creeks on a daily basis to ensure that the locals that are involved in vandalizing pipelines to siphon crude oil to supply their illegal artisan refineries are denied that access and are denied whatever product they've stolen. The last computation we made, we saw that the Navy has saved or denied the thieves products to the tune of above 30 billion naira. Also, the Navy is working closely with NNPCL, with whom the Operation Dakata Dabarau was launched on the 1st of April, to put in place measures also at the offshore. I'm talking particularly about the physicalization, which was there until 1989, whereby you have naval officers at loading terminals to look at the meter reading when these ocean-going vessels and tankers come to load. So that when a vessel is coming to load, say she has approval to load 200,000 barrels, she's not coming with she's not coming with something else that is larger than that. And we have other independent weaknesses to see that the meter reading is exactly what the tanker nomination from NNPCL indicates. I recall some cities, particularly Port Harcourt, until the earlier part of this year, had issues with carbon chutes, whereby you take a walk in the evening, you find out that your nostrils are filled with blackish substances. The whole house, the floor, the atmosphere is saturated with carbon chutes as a result of the operation of these illegal refining sites. I have it on good record that some of those things have reduced, and the Navy will not leave any stone unturned in our effort to ensure that those that have decided to take up the illegal business of crude oil refinery will not have liberty of action, freedom of action, so to say.
Okay.
I know that in so many quarters, a lot of figures have been given. We've listened to people from Nupeng and Pengasin say that the nation is losing about 600,000 barrels a day and all that and all that. I believe if the figures can be verified from NMPCL, a lot of the things that is being lost, as was rightly said, is as a result of shut-ins because of the fear of vandalization of pipelines. And it also brings us to the issue of the award of the pipeline contracts. Well, as a Navy, we were not part of that decision, but we know that if the ex-agitators have brought to the table loyalty, commitment, and patriotism to protect the pipelines in their region, just like we employ the use of the civilian JTF in the northeast for the operation against insurgency and terrorism. I think we could as well give them a try. So these are the position. So this is the position with respect to
Commodore. That means the Navy is not really. The Navy is not opposed to the award of this contract to a non-state actor. That's what you are saying.
No, the Navy is not opposed to it because we are apolitical. We were not part of the decision. Though I know that in some quarters, some persons have said, why didn't you spread it around so that you can have those that are protecting it in Bayelsa, in Rivers, in Delta State, as it were. And I know that those that are concerned have had those thoughts and opinions from different persons.
Okay, let's revisit the incident involving the tanker MT Heroic Idun. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
Okay, MT Heroic Idun, motor tanker Heroic Idun, a Marshall Island flagged vessel, was detected by the Nigerian Navy's Maritime Domain Awareness System within our exclusive economic zone. That's 200 nautical miles from the coastline southwards on the 7th of August. On that particular day, one of our vessels was at sea, an inshore patrol vessel, and the inshore patrol vessel accosted by interrogating MT Heroic Idun, knowing fully well that her name was not on the tanker nomination list given by NMPCL. And MT Heroic Idun was told to proceed to Bonny Anchorage to await clearance, since she claimed that she had clearance, but we knew that she should not have clearance. And when she was told to proceed to Bonny Anchorage, Akpo oil field, where she was attempting to go to load, is about 85 nautical miles from the Bonny Fairway Buoy. That's about 170 kilometers. So it's actually in the exclusive economic zone where vessels have right of innocent passage and what have you. What prompted the vessel to interrogate and accost her was when they saw that she was proceeding to the loading point, and she was told to stop and proceed to Bonny Anchorage. The vessel refused and said she had instructions from her agent not to take instructions from the Navy. And as a result of that, she altered course and proceeded to the joint maritime development zone between Nigeria and Sao Tome and Principe. Eventually, under the Yaoundé architecture, which is a sub-regional arrangement in ECOWAS and Central Africa and ECLAS, The vessel was arrested under the Yaoundé architecture arrangement through coordination and cooperation within the states in the Gulf of Guinea. She was arrested at Equatorial Guinea by Captain David, an Equatorian Guinean ship. As we speak, the vessel is still under the custody of the authorities of Equatorial Guinea. Some persons have said, and we wonder where they got the information from, that the vessel was in our waters for about 2 months and that she had loaded about 2 million barrels. These are all lies. The Nigerian Navy issued a statement concerning MT Heroic Idun. Nigerian Navy also held a press conference to clear the air on MT Heroic Idun. And the Nigerian Navy still maintains and retains our stand as to what particularly happened that night of 7th of August when MT Heroic Idun was interrogated by our ship.
No, but
I also have
no
it on
charges
good
have been
authority
filed.
that the vessel also committed some infractions in Equatorial Guinea waters, and as a result of that, she is being investigated. And the process to repatriate her, to get her to come back to Nigerian waters, has also been initiated by the appropriate superior authorities in our country.
All right. We'll quickly take this, brother.
exactly
When we
what
come back, we'll see with Commodore Adedotun Ayo-Vaughan. Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout, and we've been talking to the spokesman of the Nigerian Navy, Commodore Adedotun Ayo-Vaughan. Mayor.
Commodore, it's no longer news that European tankers and business interests are ready buyers of stolen Nigerian crude. How do you put an end to this?
Okay. Just like you said, there is no longer news. The Nigerian Navy has put in place our surveillance capability based on the vessels that are approved by NNPCL to come to our terminals to load crude. When the names of the vessels reach naval headquarters, they are keyed into the maritime domain awareness assets, such that any vessel that is spotted within our waters, without its name being on that list, automatically raises an alarm. That was the same thing that happened in the case of MT Heroic Idun. I know that a lot of persons still hold the misconception as to what happens out there. But the maritime surveillance capability of the Nigerian Navy is a state-of-the-art asset that we don't even have in some developed countries. It is just like I said, the CCTV that we have in our homes and in our offices that allows you to have 24/7 surveillance of our waters. As long as it's on the surface of the water, we spot it at our regional control centers and at our command control center in Abuja here. And the vessels that are above 300 tons above us are under normal circumstances to have the automatic identification system on. So we have that surveillance system, and at any time, any vessel proceeding to Braz Terminal, Bonny Terminal, or any of the oil fields, we have the document from NNPCA to authenticate whether that vessel is nominated to load or not. And this is done 24/7. And so that is what we have in place to check. I just need to mention that the Trinity of Action, which is the tripod operational approach of the Nigerian Navy, includes surveillance, which is with our maritime domain awareness system, Falcon Eye alignment particularly, response, which is with our vessels and our helicopters, and law enforcement, which is also carried out with our vessels out there at sea. So this is the approach that we have put in place, and this is the approach that we will maintain, as well as collaboration with other Gulf of Guinea nations under the Yaoundé architecture.
Let's talk about piracy. Let's talk about piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. What's the situation like in the last 1 year? Have we been able to make some progress in that area?
Yes, we have made progress in the area of piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. In the last 7 months or thereabouts, there have been no record of attacks in our waters. I have the bar charts there that shows the trend as it has been since 2015. As a matter of fact, we have it now that the International Maritime Bureau has delisted Nigeria from piracy-prone nations. That was around March this year. And the curve has flattened such that in the last 27 years, the record of piracy has not been seen as low as it is today. It has been as a result of hard work on the part of the Navy, as well as collaboration with maritime stakeholders and regional partners and strategic partners also, to ensure that our waters are safe for maritime commerce, trade, and safe use of our waters.
Now, then, the Navy some time ago inaugurated a maritime awareness program. Walk us through it.
Okay, the maritime awareness program that I recall was sometimes on the 21st of June this year at the World Hydro Day celebration that took place in Victoria Island in Lagos. It was brought to the fore that there is a dread of human resource, the willingness on the part of our young men and women to study hydrography, which is very germane for a maritime nation. As a result of that, there was the need to create awareness in the young minds to take up interest in hydrography, and the Navy went to Lagos, Port Harcourt, as well as some schools in Kano State. We also hold seminars, workshops, and conferences regularly to deal with what some people call sea blindness, because here in Africa, here in our climate, a lot of people do not know the significance and the importance of the oceans. In many quarters now, they are talking about blue economy, good and effective ocean governance, and the use of the oceans to enrich the maritime nation. So just June this year, at the 66th anniversary of the Nigerian Navy, the Navy hosted about 38 heads of navies from Africa and beyond Africa to an international maritime conference which held at One in Rivers State. The fallout of that conference was the Port Harcourt Statement, which is also to further drive the establishment of a regional task force to deal with maritime infractions and criminalities in the Gulf of Guinea in our waters.
Mm-hmm. We understand
that. A lot is being done to create that awareness at the strategic level, at the regional level.
Okay, Commodore, our time is fast spent.
The secondary school level.
Okay, Commodore.
It might interest you to know that we also have about 9 Nigerian Navy secondary schools.
Okay,
and the
Commodore.
Nigerian Navy military school at Ikotetuen in Akwa Ibom State.
Okay. Commodore, we
So
understand.
apart from the normal academics that they go through, They also have
Can you hear us?
an eye-opener, so to say, as to the importance of our waters.
Okay, Commodore.
Okay, yeah, we understand that you have more platforms in your inventory. What value do they add to the Navy's desire to keep our territorial waters safe?
Okay, the platforms of paramount importance, because the platforms are what enables us to maintain presence at sea. You know, the maritime domain is a very peculiar domain. The waters of the world account for about 71% of the entire Earth crust. In our nation here, we have about 84,000 square nautical miles of maritime heritage. So we give much gratitude, and we are most grateful to Mr. President, who has enabled the Navy to sustain our fleet recapitalization efforts with the acquisition of recent landing ship transport, Nigerian Navy ship Kada, that arrived in Nigeria on the 27th of May. NNS Kada has the sea lift capability to carry out amphibious operation with our army counterparts, Nigerian Army.
Okay.
NNS Kada also has capacity for humanitarian and
Commodore,
maritime operations.
Our time is fast spent. I want to thank you, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Navy, Commodore Adedotun Ayo-Vaughan.